Hello, 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 and welcome to the RuPaul's Drag Race RHAP here on Reality TV RHAP Ups. I'm your host, Liana Boris, and we're here back again to preview cast of season 13. That's right. They filmed during COVID, they did their quarantine bubble, they did their little circle, and we are about to have a brand new season of Drag Race. Now, of course, I'm not alone. I'm here with our fabulous panel to break down and hear all of their thoughts on these queens. First, Amman Adwin. Amman, welcome. How are you?
Hello, I'm good. I can't believe we're doing this again. It feels like just yesterday we were celebrating Jada Essence Hall and her win. And now we're right back here, and I'm so excited. I thought I was tired the last time, but watching all of these preview videos, I was like, you know what? I'm back in. Happy post-holiday season, everyone, whenever you're listening to this. And I'm super excited to be back into the Drag Race swing of things. So, yeah.
Yes, hello. And of course, with us is our wonderful, beautiful Beth. Beth, how are you?
I'm doing really well. Like Amman, I feel like it was just yesterday we were wrapping up our coverage of All Stars and Canada's Drag Race and all that kind of stuff. It was a nice little break in, but she already had hers is here. So we're back into season 13, and I'm very excited about this cast and to do a little preview breakdown of the queens.
Yes. So let me explain how this is going to work. So as Amman so wonderfully pointed out, this is premiering on the 1st of January, and that is the new year. So what do we do going into the new year? We do a countdown. So what we're going to do is we are going to count down the queens going into this season. So we have each ranked them based on just our initial impressions and how well we think they're going to do. I love stuff like this because also we can see how terrible we were with some of our predictions. We can look back and laugh. But that's essentially the structure. That's how we're going to do it. So we're going to go one by one, counting down the queens, starting with 13 all the way to 1. And that's how we're going to preview them for you. So if you are listening to this in your podcast feed, and you want to check out the video, we have our video up on the RHAP Has a Podcast YouTube page, so you can take a look at that, where you can see the pictures of the queens. I pulled that, put together some fun little graphics for today, and I hope that will help guide us through this process. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Actually, you know what, Beth, you brought this up. The overall thoughts about the queens this season. Share them with me. You think it's a strong cast?
I think it's a strong cast. I was saying before we started recording that the last time I felt this confident about a cast moving in was season 10. And I was saying to Liana, I felt like season 10 actually had quite a few really strong queens. Even those that went out early. I'm thinking people like, I was talking about Dusty Ray Bottoms, who I like in the promo, I was like, oh, what is she going to do? But she really kind of turned it out the first couple episodes. And unfortunately, she just had to go up against Monet Exchange, and that was not a battle she was going to win. And then you had other people like Blair St. Clair, who we saw come back for All Stars 5 and do an amazing job, and she went out relatively early as well. So I have that same kind of vibe for this season, and I can't wait to see if my expectations are met. I hope they are, very much hoping they are, but I'm feeling pretty confident about these queens.
Amman, what about you? Do you share the same feelings?
Yeah, me too. I was thoroughly enthralled with this Meet the Queens video because I was finding a bunch of queens that I was like, you know what, I could see you taking this thing or going like a long way. Granted, it's just a 3-minute clip of each of them, but still, I don't necessarily feel like I can relate to a lot of queens in like their whole meet the press or meet the public press cycle, whatever you want to call it. But this time around, I was like, you know what? No, I like you, and I like you, and I like you, and I like you. So, whenever you can find a bunch of things that you like, how can you not enjoy it? So hopefully this does not just do a complete 180 on me and the premiere happens and all of them have lost their luster within the first episode and I'm sitting here looking like a fool. So
well, and the other thing too is I didn't notice really any change in production quality or anything like that. So my guess is that they were really able to, to work out all of the filming with all the safety guidelines, which, we hope they're abiding by the safety guidelines. I think this is just going to be a regular, like, good old-fashioned season. I mean, maybe we don't have cameos from some of the queens. I don't know what the makeover challenge might look like. They might make over the other queens. We've seen that before. I think season 7, maybe. So, so that might be the case for the makeover. But otherwise, I think we're going to get a regular, straight-up season, and that got me super, super stoked.
Absolutely. Do you get how heavily, and before we get into our like rankings and all that kind of stuff, how heavily were you guys weighing the overall looks of the queens, like what they presented as their like introduction to the public?
I never know how to because they're supposed to be uniform, right? So like I always wonder just how much production influence is in on their first promo looks, because they're putting up all this new material for the season. So how much help do they usually get from like the curation of the staff? But I mean, they still look good. You still have to be able to pull it off in the long run. So, I mean, I can always give a little shine where it might be due. I'm sure, they have some input on some level.
Yeah, I think for me, I look for attention to detail. Because I think the queens that really like are precise and like have their shit together, that comes across in the way they do their makeup, the way that their outfits are put together. What does the hairline look like? So that's the biggest thing that I look at. Like the overall fashion sense, like, yes, I do look at that. But I remember Amman, kind of like what you were saying, Asia O'Hara, I think her wig in her promo photos was like not the wig she brought. It was like a wig that production gave her. And I remember because it was very ugly. Like that was not her fault, right? Because like something with her original wig didn't work with you. I don't know. Anyway.
Same with Nina Bonina Brown when she had her like, it was like she had this amazing makeup and then she had like this really like honestly drab like purple dress, and that was the they all were a different color. And but I don't believe that was the dress she came with, or something happened to that dress and they just kind of pulled out another one. So yeah, I feel the same exact way. I think it's important just to look at what are they doing to potentially amp up the style or make that style their own, and can we get their personality and their drag character from that look?
Yeah, and I think that's the other thing too, is the content that I watched to prepare for this was the Meet the Queens video. So even though it's only like a couple minute segment on them, you do get a sense of their personality, and that's another thing that's like big to look for, because you have to be super well rounded and you have to have a strong personality, really. I mean, to do well in Drag Race.
Charisma.
So just a logistics question. What do you guys think that they do for like all the clothes that they have to bring? Because of course the human, have to get tested before they go on the show.
Sure.
Like, do they have to like disinfect all of their clothes like a bunch of times, like spray it all down, like, and then spray it again once they get there? Like, how do you ensure that no one's, bringing along the virus on any of their material? Because they have to pack a lot of stuff. What I mean?
My guess is that they quarantine. So they quarantine for 14 days, and the virus doesn't we've learned now that the transmission rate from surfaces is pretty low. Actually, it's mostly just airborne. And so, I don't know. Maybe they did have to disinfect, or just like that was enough time that
they were like, yeah. But, that makes sense.
Imagine what quarantining for any of these reality shows is like in COVID versus like the normal like quarantine sequestering is already kind of like makes people go bonkers, but now it's like on top of the normal week, we're gonna add
sealed in a bubble. Like
you're a handler who is the only person you're gonna see. You can't even see their face. They're wearing a face mask. They're treating you like a hazmat. Like, okay, here we go. Yeah.
This would be the perfect season for the face keenies. We'll do the mask.
Yes. RuPaul better bring that out again.
Such a good luck. Okay.
And by better, I mean, please don't.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and start talking about the queens. So, like I said, everybody, Beth, Amman, and myself all ranked the queens from 1 to 13. I took the average of those rankings, and that's how we're going to be going through some of these queens. And then, sometimes we had wildly different rankings, and I think that will make for a lively discussion. Some a little bit more samey, but we'll get to all of that. So let's start with our queen 13.
Ooh.
Okay. I know, girl. I made little sparkly things, whatever, numbers. That's what I'm talking about. Queen number 13 is dun, 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 LaLa Ri. So Amman and I both had her ranked 13, and Beth had 11. So not too wildly different. So Beth, you were the highest on LaLa. Can you walk us through your thoughts on her?
Yeah, there's sometimes she has more of a quiet personality. She's a little quieter in comparison to some of the other queens, but I just had a feeling that I don't believe she's first boot. That she's just somebody who I feel like it doesn't. She's probably like this is going to sound mean, but she's probably like a non-entity in terms of any kind of edit of the storyline for the show. And I feel like she's the kind of queen that you see going out like third in that area, where it's kind of like, okay, it was great to see you, but you're not really adding much to the general storyline. But I felt like there's a quiet confidence about her that I liked. And so that's why I felt like, when you look at seasons past, like there were some people who were obvious first boots, like no offense to James Mansfield, but I think that a lot of us saw that coming a mile away. And then when you watch the episode, you saw like she had no confidence in how she could apply her drag to the competition. I don't feel like that's Lala Ree's personality. I feel like she has a little bit of confidence, and that's going to see her through a couple of episodes, but I don't see her going, unfortunately, too far. And that's literally based off of like the interviews that I saw more so than anything.
Yeah, Amon, I think for me, the thing that stood out about her was like, yes, she has personality, but it felt like the drag skills maybe just weren't quite there. Like she made a comment about how, my fashion, I took it up for the runway. It's more than just leotards. And then she's wearing a leotard. So I was like, I don't know how I felt about that.
Yeah, so I mean, I tried so hard to not put her last. I was like, well, let me see if maybe I can. I was like doing my own little casting when I was making this, because I was like, no, like let me put her at 9, and then she just kept slowly following back down to the bottom. And I think it's like she is fresh, and she said it on her interview that I think this is her 3rd year doing drag. Yeah. And can you even really count 2020, because that was the year of COVID, so you really didn't do much. So it's like, are the skills going to be there? She's also like, she's not old by any means, but she's a little older, like in terms of like people that usually start drag are usually starting drag when they're like super young, you know what I mean? And she started when she was like 27, 28. And so it's like, how much time did you really take to perfect all of your skills? I'm sure she's probably going to be great in the diary room. I'm sure she's probably going to be, she might even survive a lip sync, so she might not be the first boot. Yeah. But there was just something about her that was like, if there was anybody that I had to choose for the first boot, it would have to be her. But you know what? There is something to be said about the fact that her drag mother, I believe, is also a part of the cast. Yep. So maybe RuPaul's going to do some finagling that's going to be like, well, we want to keep that dynamic for around as long as possible. So maybe she won't be first boot. So maybe as I'm talking about it now with you guys, like I'm starting to think, okay, maybe not 13 exactly. But that was the number that just kept popping up in my head when I thought about her. I was just like, she seems really sweet and so kind.
Yeah.
But I just don't know if she's going to make it that far. So that's why I gave her 13.
Yeah, so we have another queen here, Tamesha, who is her drag mother, which is, I think, the first time we've ever had a drag mother and daughter compete on the same season. We've obviously had a lot of relations on the show. And I have a whole family tree because, like, this cast is related to previous.
Yeah.
But the thing with Lala that I loved was her personality. Like that was the thing that stood out to me most, was like, you have that charisma. Like you are incredibly entertaining. I want to watch you, but I just don't think the drag skills are necessarily going to be up to par. Like I think she may stumble in a design challenge. Like if my reasoning was, if the first challenge is a design challenge, she said in her promos that she's nervous about sewing. Right. We've had queens glue dresses together and win design challenges. So she's definitely not out of it. But but those are those little things that stood out to me that made me nervous. But otherwise, I'm excited to have her on this season because I think that she is incredibly charismatic.
Yeah, I mean, I would love for her to stick around because I mean, like, when's the last time? Like, have we usually had like drag mother, drag daughter dynamics on the show before? But we've had like drag siblings, and we've had like people that have had their mothers or their daughters on in the past. But I can't recall like them being on the same season. So I would like to see how that works on Drag Race.
Yeah, because let's see. So Alexis, Michelle, and Jan are mother-daughter. Aja, Dahlia Sin, and then we'll talk about Candy today. So yeah, we've definitely had the mother-daughter, but not at the same time. I'm just looking forward to when production shoehorns them both in the bottom and they have to lip sync against each other.
Yeah.
I can't wait. That Untucked episode is going to be a cry fest backstage, and I can't wait for it. Or it's going to be like the best fight of all time. It's going to be like fighting with your family at the holidays.
She voted out her mom.
She voted out her mom.
And then we
Rip
can talk
sync
about it
around.
forever.
I know, and we can keep showing the clips over and over again. All right, so Lala, yeah, we have her ranked here at the bottom, but I think we all see the good things, and I think that she'll be someone at least entertaining to watch for as long as she.
It was a very reluctant 13, okay?
Right,
For anybody that's out there that watches this, because I know that there are some Drag Race adjacent people or some Drag Race people that probably watch this show. It was a reluctant at 13, okay? I had to do it.
All right, let's move on to our next queen. So this is number 12. I wish I had a fun sound drop to play. So number 12. Oh, look.
No,
not mother-daughter.
I know. I couldn't believe it when this happened. So, all right. So, queen number 12 is Tamesha Amman. So, she is the aforementioned, the mother of the aforementioned Lala Ree. And they're both going to be competing on this season. And so, I don't know, the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree was what I was thinking here. But Amman, you have her at a 9. What do you have to say about Tamesha?
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing kind of happened for me as well, like with Lala Ree. Like I tried to place her as high as possible, and then as I took more time, she began to fall down the list. But I'm still like, the jury is still kind of out for me for her. I think that she knows what the hell she's doing. You know what I mean? I think that she comes across as, yes, she's the oldest of the bunch, but she's been in the game the longest. She's probably the most professional, the most experienced, the most well-versed with all different types of performance styles, all the world of drag. Like, she has been steeped in it for a very long time. And she's not giving me like, oh, she's going to be the old timer. She's not going to know what the hell she's giving me like, no, I came here to prove to you guys that I know what the hell I'm doing. So I could see her really just coming out and giving these young girls a run for their money and putting some of them in the bottom 2, maybe even sending some of them home directly. Like, I just get a vibe that she is not here to play games, and that she's here to slay. I mean, maybe with her daughter being there, maybe she might get distracted a little bit. I don't know, but I was like, you know what? Like, I'm rooting for her. I want her to do well, and I feel like she really can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Beth. Well, what about you? You had her lower than her daughter. So what did you feel about Tamesha?
I think that my biggest issue with Tamesha is that, and here's the thing, I'm going to preface this by saying, I'm about to talk about pageant queens, and pageant queens either do super well in the competition because they are so versatile, because they have to bring in different skills, techniques, those kind of things to win pageants, or they don't do well. And I just got the feeling from her video, like, that she's more traditionalist, that she's going to kind of stick to her guns of just being straight up pageant I just got this feeling that she's going to be a little bit more rigid with what she views as being applicable to Drag Race, which I think is going to tie her down a little bit in this competition. Loved her personality. I love this look, and I love what she's bringing to her drag look and everything. But I just got this feeling from her, like, it has nothing to do with age or experience or anything. I just feel like she's going to be like, I know what I'm good at, and that's all I'm going to do in the competition, rather than being open to other possibilities.
Yeah, I had a sort of similar read in terms of the rigidness. I feel like if I could combine mother-daughter, I would have the perfect Drag Race contestant, because I felt like what Tamesha lacks in personality, Lala Ree has. What Lala lacks in in drag skills, like, Tamesha sews everything she makes. Like, she clearly has her shit together. She's been in the game a long time. Like, she's really talented.
Makeup, does her own hair.
Yes, exactly. And she describes herself as the complete package. And I think in terms of the drag skills, like, yes, 100% agree with that. But just because you are, and we say this all the time, just because you're a good drag queen doesn't mean you'll do well on Drag Race. There is a very, like, weird subset of skills that are tested on Drag Race. And I feel like Tamesha is, to Beth, to your point, someone who is really good at what she does. Yeah. But can she be versatile enough to deal with the Drag Race, game, as it were? And And this look I think is gorgeous. All the looks that they put out are pastel themed, which, you know, doesn't necessarily look good on everybody, but I feel like the queens did a great job putting together their looks. The only thing I can't get over is the breastplate. So she's wearing a breastplate but doesn't cover her neck where it meets, like the breastplate ends, right? And it looks like she's got no neck, and it's super weird, and I couldn't stop staring at it in the video. So that's a weird
look like this. You need to give neck, girl. Like that's, you know,
give good neck, girl.
That's, you know, the other thing with Tamesha I was trying to think about, she's one of the oldest contestants we've ever had on Drag Race at the time of competition. Have we had an older pageant queen like her compete? I'm thinking of people like Tempest, and she wasn't a pageant queen. Mrs. Kasha Davis, Darian Lake, Bianca Del Rio, like none
Charlie
of them.
Hides.
Let's
do something, Charlie.
Do something. Oh my God. I can say this. I don't feel like Tamesha's gonna just stand there during a lip sync.
But you know what? Like you guys make a great point in Tamesha in that like she does seem to be a little bit more rigid, a little bit more stoic. Like even by the way that she was sitting in her interview, she was very just like, this is the answer to the question. Next question, please. Like it was kind of very pageant like. But if she can't inject a little bit of personality, maybe that's not all we're getting from her, then I can see her going a little further. I just get the feeling that like RuPaul is going to be reminded of some of her peers from back in the day when it comes to Tamesha, and I feel like that might like push her along a little further, which is why I have her within the top 10, which isn't saying much out of a top 13. But if she can, like, I feel like there's going to be a lot of respect and credence given to her ability to do it all. Because if you can sew, if you can do your own makeup, you can do your own hair, and she can perform as well. Like if you can give it to us, then give it to us. Like, and if you can inject a little personality as well, then give it again. Because I know if she ends up in the bottom and it's like a Diana Ross song, she's not going home. You know what I mean? She's not gonna go home.
Exactly.
So if she can, you know, stay within that realm, I feel like, you know, maybe she's got a little shot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I loved that she said in her interview that she was a loving spirit but doesn't suffer fools. And I feel like that level of cutthroatness, especially coming from the pageant world, I think is going to be really advantageous. Like, if Lala fails, I don't think Tamesha's like, look, I got to focus on me, girl. Like, I raised you as best I can, but you're a grown woman now. You know,
that's the exact. That's why I was like, that's probably because that's one of the reasons why I didn't want to put Lala Ree at 13, because like, no, she has her mom there. What if they like team up? But I was like, I don't think that's because Tamesha really seems like she's on a mission. Like I really feel like she's like, I am here to prove a point. So, you know, la la bye, girl.
Do we know how long she's been? How many times she's been auditioning? Because I know some of them mentioned it. Like I wonder if she's been auditioning for a while. Tamesha is, or if this is like her first time auditioning, because I did get the sense of like she's been in the game a while. This is her opportunity. She's not going to screw it up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that she's going to be focused. I'm just worried about, is she going to do the assignment or is she going to do what she wants to do?
I feel like she has a lot of Bianca Del Rio upside minus the comedy. You know what I mean? So
I like that. Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so let's move on to queen number 11 here. And that is... Joey J, the non-wig wearing lipstick lesbian aesthetic from Phoenix, Arizona. So Beth, you are the highest on Joey. You had her at your 9th spot inside the top 10. What is it that stood out to you about Joey?
Honestly, you know, sometimes I look at these queens with, you know, charisma, uniqueness, nerve, talent scales here. And I felt like uniqueness and nerve were pretty high on her. Like, I felt like, you know, you're talking about, she really likes to take a butch style of drag and femme it up and make this like glamour, like androgynous almost kind of look. And I love that. It's really unique. And it also lends itself really well to being versatile in the competition. I also, honestly, I just kind of liked her punk attitude too. I felt like she's going to make good TV, which always helps in trying to keep someone in from a production standpoint. I'm just thinking about the storyline there. But she's somebody that I just genuinely think I could tell like people weren't going to be high on her just because maybe her style of drag isn't what we normally see. And like people might go, oh, it's a little weaker or something. But I actually think that uniqueness could help her out in the competition a lot. I don't see her going to the very end, but I don't see her being the first couple of boots. And I think honestly, I brought up Dusty Ray Bottoms earlier, but I had a very similar idea where I was like, I don't know if Dusty's like, her look's a little different, blah, blah, blah. But then she like really served it in the beginning of the competition. And so I think there was a part of me that was like, well, let's see if I don't make that mistake again. So I kind of gave her some grace points there.
I think for me, I love Joey. I loved her look. I loved her attitude. She's super competitive. She came to win. And that part really, really stood out to me, but this is so freaking nitpicky. And I do feel like I'm nitpicking on a lot of things, but like, I can hear Michelle saying like, put on a wig next time. You know what I mean? Like, even though we've had Angina, we've had successful queens that have shown, look, drag is drag. It can be whatever you want it to be. Like, it doesn't have to be so uniform and cookie cutter. But like with Dusty Ray Bottoms, I'm excited for a dot-free look. Like, I'm excited for you to wear a wig next time, because it's about showing versatility, not that you have to be like defined by a certain style. And I think they're going to push her for that. And that is the thing I couldn't get over and that I was hung up about. But Amman, you had her the lowest, so maybe you echo some of those thoughts.
Yeah, her whole interview was very like, guys, I get it. I know that I don't have a wig on. I get it. And did you know that I didn't have a wig on? Because I came here to shake shit up. And also, I don't have a wig on. It was very like wig focused, and I was like, "Whoa, I don't know, girl. Like, you seem like it seems like she's really here to prove a point." And maybe the producers were like really prodding her to put her interview in that direction. So I won't blame it all on her, but it did seem very like, I'm here to shock you. I'm here to give you what you haven't seen before. And I'm like, every girl says that, even the ones that are wearing wigs, they all say that too. So it's like, what are you like? What else is there besides that? I'm not wearing a wig. And when you do you're gonna have to wear a wig at some point, because not all your looks have to be different at some point. So it's like, do you have the skills? And she's kind of newer at drag. She said she's only been doing it for 3 years. So it just, I don't like, and the fact that she talks about like how a lot of them, this is probably a question or something that they made most of them say. So I won't blame it all on her again. But she made the point that she auditioned 3 times. She got the call. It was very validating for her, because it just proved that all of the bullying that she went through for having a different style of drag was all worth it. And now she feels very validated. And that's great. And I'm sure she does feel very validated. But I'm like, okay, don't let that be the end all, though. You got the call. Now you actually have to compete. So like,
right.
I just got a little scared that she wasn't going to be able to do all the things that she wants to do, because she's so focused on not doing the things that we want her to do.
That's a really good point. I can't tell you how many times have we watched queens who have been, again, we talked about this with Tamesha, who are going to be so rigid and this is what I do. And, the drag race at the end of the day, I hate to say it, this is not about the queens being able to deliver their own talent. It's about delivering the talent RuPaul wants you to in that moment, or the look that Michelle wants you to show. And it's at the end of the day, it's, can you rise to what their standards are? And I completely agree. I think that she'll be a little bit, we talked about Tamesha being rigid. I think that Joey's going to be rigid as well. So I don't know. When we talk about pastel was the color, like what I also was kind of struck by was like, this is not really pastel at the end of the day. Like, this is a pretty bold purple with a little light pastel purple there. But I think that's why I like it, because it works for the theme. Yeah. So I was like, again, we can't really judge everything on the promo looks, but I had this moment of, well, maybe she's not going to be as, doomed as we might originally think. But yeah, I'm interested to see what she brings to the competition, because it could be really great.
I mean, I would love if she's like slaying the competition in the beginning and she's like wearing as little wigs as possible and the rest of the girls are just seething. I would love to see something like that. So maybe, she'll get stuck around for like all of that kind of like intimidation factor. I would love that.
Miss Monet exchange and those little kitty cat wigs and
butt wigs, as somebody calls it.
So you never know. And she was someone who in the video, I just her look really popped for me. But you know, is it going to be this one look? And then what, you know, what else are we going to see? But I'm excited for Joey. It's my parents, or my mom now lives in Arizona. She's from Phoenix. So I'm like sort of hometown-ish, I guess. But we'll see what Joey has to bring to the show. All right. Let's move on to our 10, queen number 10, top 10, baby. Kamora Hall. Kamora, dragged for 8 years, 28 years old, from Chicago. Amman, you gave her a 7 here. What stood out to you about Kamora?
So, okay, like, I really want us to get an Asian winner. We haven't had one yet, and I know that we have to. We gotta make sure that they're like just not winning the thing because they're Asian, and that they're, you know, bringing it to us. And I really feel like Kamora knows what the hell she's doing. I got like a little bit of not the same vibe as Tamesha Amman, but like within the same realm where she's like, I've been doing this for a little bit now. Like, I've gotten all the critiques, but I think I'm good now. Like, I feel like where Plastique Tiara had all of the look, and like just not enough of the va-va-voom. I feel like Kamora's giving you looks and that va-va-voom. I feel like she knows what she's doing. I feel like she knows who she is. And I just got I was just like, you know, I can see her lasting for a little bit. I think that she's going to be here for some time. So that's why I gave her a 7. I was like, I think she's going to stick around. I was like, I wanted to put her even higher than 7, to be honest, but a few queens were able to like sort of like beat her to the punch.
Now, Beth, on the flip side, you had given her a 13.
Yeah. I don't see her knowing herself. When I watched her video, it was just a whole bunch of bland, generic answers to questions, and I just sat there and I was like, okay, you look beautiful. And I mean,
I interpreted that as her like being like really like playing a character, but I guess you could definitely take it that way as well, where she's like, okay, well, are you, it's like, okay, what's under that thing? So I take that point. I take that point.
Yeah, no, I just got this feeling that she's someone who can do beauty, but again, if I'm looking at charisma, uniqueness, nerve, talent, I didn't get any of those from her. Just from her interview.
Wow.
Putting that out there. Like, I tried, because I feel the same way, Amman. Like, you know, I believe she's the third Vietnamese American contestant that we've had on Drag Race, behind Plastique and, what's her name from season 9, second out.
Kamora? Yeah, Kamora. Yeah,
Kamora. The other Kamora?
The other Kamora. Yeah. Kimora, not Kamora.
Kimora, not Kamora. So, but she just, for me, like, there was a lack of commitment to your own style, to what your uniqueness is, what you're going to bring to the competition. She looks absolutely stunning. This was one of my favorite looks in terms of like what she was wearing and such. But again, I've seen this before. Like, in the same way that we've seen leotards and all that kind of stuff. I've seen a girl wear, you know, ostrich feathers before with a bevel and a matching wig, and being one color, and rhinestone tights.
You know what I think I was probably being reminded of? I think I was like getting like a little bit of All-Star season 4 Valentina from her, and I am such an All-Star season 4 Valentina fan. Like, Valentina on season 9 was, I mean, she was great and everything, but she was just such a character on season 4, and I think that I was getting a lot of that, and I'm like sort of attracted to that, like really just like, oh, diva, high class. I know I'm good. Thank you. I just love that in a drag queen.
You know what? You're so right. You're so right. That's exactly the kind of thing I got out of her, but it just wasn't to the level of like Valentina being
It wasn't
almost
enough
in outer
delusion.
space with it. Yeah, exactly. There wasn't enough delusion for me.
It doesn't fit with your French vanilla fantasy.
It doesn't fit with my French vanilla fantasy.
So for me, there were queens that I felt like they don't. Okay, like who am I thinking about? So Tamesha, for example, I feel like she may not necessarily have high highs, but she doesn't have low lows. She's like going to be solid.
Mhm.
Kimora, I felt like was a queen who could do super well or could flame out episode 1, which I think really reflects your guys' rankings of like 5 rankings apart, like 13 versus 7. Like she could do really well if, yes, that is indeed her personality and she gives off those Valentina vibes. Or this is an episode 1 flame out of like, we've seen this before, we're bored with this, there's nothing going on, it's just repeated pageantry phrases, like shady queen phrases. And so I could easily see her being first boot. I could also easily seeing her make top 5. You know what I mean? And that's why it was really hard to rank Kimora, because she is absolutely gorgeous. But will her looks be repetitive? Will she be able to perform well in the acting challenges? Will she be able to sell me a product, you know, in a fun and creative way? Will she be able to do that multiple times? That I didn't necessarily get from the video, because some of the queens you can tell like, oh, this queen is smart. Kimora might be smart, right? If she's playing that role, but also the best point about like, I'm not sure. Regardless, she's gorgeous.
All I'm saying is that the first boot is always in this pose.
Like the Marilyn Monroe
flipped around. It was this way. I mean, it's just so
in that pose right before they get blown off the show.
Yeah.
I never understand why the producers or the photographers or whoever put them in this position. First of all, we cannot see the outfit. It's like a side view. Put your arm so it covers up your midsection. Great. And now we're only going to look at the bevel. And it makes you kind of look like, I'm timid.
It's all about those
limbs, baby. So funny.
Yeah, now my 7 is falling. I think I'm just so like I'm being swayed by the Asian agenda here. I'm just so tired of seeing the Asian queens go home. So
I still agree with you, but you definitely, my 13 is no longer feeling like a 13. It's maybe more like a 10, like Liana's. But I think that your point about Valentina-esque vibes definitely rings true for me. Yeah. So hopefully that's what it is. And I love it.
But guys, she's posing in that pose. You have to consider that. All right. Let's talk about our top 9 queen. And that is Miss Elliott with 2 T's. So Elliott was someone who stood out to me because I was like, oh, she's shady, but seems, pretty intelligent. She's been doing drag for 12 years. But she didn't necessarily pop to me in the same way that some of the other queens did. So this is not so much like me ranking her lower than it is just like, I think she could do quite well. She seems super solid. She's a dancer. She can kick herself in the face. My God, like that is quite impressive. Kimora says she's a park and bark kind of bitch. Well, Elliott to 2 T's is going to be bouncing all over that stage. So I have really high hopes for her. Even though she's sitting here at our 9 slot. But Beth, you had her at a 6. What stood out to you about Elliott?
Elliott, to me, I just got the feeling from Elliott that she could do comedy. She can construct. She's got the drag skills. She's got a level of confidence and intelligence that she brings to drag. Like even just like this look in particular, as I'm looking at her, like I'm getting like the Golden Girls, but like 20 years younger from this, like if they were like out in the town, like this is, like it's just, there's also she was pretty referential with different like gay and queer culture in some of the videos I was watching. So there's a sense that she's going to be able to cater to what RuPaul and Michelle really like. For example, out of what they see from drag. I mean, there are people who love references, specifically those that are older references. And for me, I don't know if I saw her taking the crown, but I see her lasting quite a bit in this competition. And like you said, if she can kick herself in the face, I want to see it.
I know, right? Dance all over that stage. Amon, you had her at an 11. What about Elliott? Right above, you had her right above the family.
Yeah, so I get like now that I'm thinking about it, she'll probably last a lot longer than that because what I'm getting right now is the villain edit vibe from her. She said something in her interview was something like I am not used to dealing with other girls. It's always just me. I just come in, I perform, I go about my business, I go home. I'm not going to be, and I'm not sure what it's like being around all these other big personalities. And it felt it didn't come off as like, oh my God, I'm shy. It came off as like, I've never had to work with people before. And I'm like, well, girl, it's Drag Race. Like there's a team challenge like every other episode. Like you're going to have to get over that fast. So I'm like, if she sticks around, I'm thinking it's because she's going to be a little bit of a villain. But also what you said at the beginning, Liana, and that like she doesn't really pop to me. Like there really wasn't anything other than like she's getting the villain edit that I took away from her interview. Granted, I didn't watch all of her intro press. I'm basically I'm basing most of this largely off of their Meet the Queens video. But she just didn't really. I was kind of like I almost forgot who she was when I was making my rankings, and I was like, okay, well if I can't remember her, then. I'm going to put her at the lower end. So
yeah. So she did say that she would struggle to interact with other personalities because she likes to be alone. But she also mentioned that she's worked with a lot of other Rue girls. So she at least has experience working with other queens. Maybe it's not her preference, but yeah, I had the same thing. I was like, everything is a group challenge these days. So
especially in the beginning, I feel like unless it's like a construction challenge, it's always like acting challenge, lip sync challenge.
The whole competition is a group challenge. You are all there to help one queen win.
Yes, it's called RuPaul. You're there to help RuPaul win another Emmy for
that Emmy. Oh yeah. All right. So yeah, I think Elliott has I don't, this like hurts me to say, but I don't know if Elliott can necessarily win, but I could see her in the final four. So that was also why it felt like maybe she doesn't have those high highs or low lows. She's like going to be a super solid performer, but do I think that she's got that little extra oomph that will get her the win? Like that was where I was just wondering, but her outfits look gorgeous. Her makeup is 100% put together. She's gorgeous. And so at least on that level of skill, I think she'll do quite well. I think it's the sort of personality challenges where we might see Elliott with 2 T's struggle a bit.
I really hope there's some messy, untucked moments.
Yeah, same. Well, and she said she comes across as cold.
Well, you can tell. I love that. You can tell that she has this kind of like, almost looking down her nose attitude, which is like how it comes across. But like when you're really like listening to her, like that's not at all, you can tell that's not her intention. But I feel like in the heat of a moment and with the stress of the competition, especially if you're in a group challenge and she's like, I don't want to do that part. If you're like assigning her a part for an acting challenge, I feel like she's going to cause some contention. And I would not be shocked if she, if they're like, who did this in the group or whatever. Like if they're getting that kind of critique, they're all gonna like look it over at her and she's gonna be like, well, like that's what I'm excited.
Throw everybody under that bus.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about her. Like I really do hope that that she has that sort of just bluntness to her, which is a personality trait that I love. I love seeing on my television screen. She is young, but she's been doing drag for 12 years. She's only 26 years old. And she's from Vegas too. So, I think that's gonna help her. And she's worked with a lot of the other Rue girls, like we mentioned before. So, I have high hopes for her. And we'll see how ultimately she ends up doing on the season.
Yeah. The Vegas girls in general always come in with a sense of like they don't work with other people because it's very much cutthroat in Vegas. So I'm excited to see what happens.
All right, let's move on to our queen number 8. And that is Miss Tina Burner. So Tina is someone who I had seen the internet get very excited about. She's someone who's been working for a long time. She's very seasoned. She's 29 years old, a New York queen. She seems to be someone who is well known and is a strong performer. I think she will do well, but I just saw a lot of little detail things that felt like they were all over the place. And I think to win Drag Race, you do have to be a perfectionist to a certain extent. And I felt like Tina is someone who is a super amazing drag queen, but then maybe won't succeed on Drag Race. So that was why I actually had her at a 9, the lowest of all of us. That I felt like she could do really well, but I saw just a few things that made me a little nervous. But Amman, you had her in your top 5 at 5 here. So what about Tina?
Yeah, so she was really giving me, and a lot of people have compared her to this queen. She was really giving me a bunch of that, oh my God, I'm having a brain fart. What is her name? Nina. She was giving me a lot of Nina West upside because she's been around. She's from NYC. She knows the business. And she's also kind of coming in with a bit of an agenda as well, like kind of like this along the same lines as Tamesha Amman. She's like, look, like these girls nowadays, they come in here, they take a couple pretty pictures on Instagram, then all of a sudden they think that they're fucking RuPaul, and that's not how it works, honey. And she says that you need to be able to back all of that up with a performance. I'm like, okay, well, if you can perform as well, I'm here for it, because that's kind of like what I need. I need for you to be able to talk your shit and back it up. So I could definitely see her outperforming most of these queens. Now, where that might, land her into a bit of a mess is maybe overperforming a little bit, because whereas Nina West was sort of like very, very seasoned, she kind of knew how to like step back at some challenges, you know what I mean? And sometimes that was to her detriment, where I feel like with Tina Burner, it's going to be the exact opposite, where she's going to be like, no, don't forget about me.
Yeah.
I'm the professional here. Like, hey, like, you know what I mean? So I'm a little worried about that, but I think that that's going to like really take her far. And I think that she's bloodthirsty. I think that she's ready to just like beat some of these younger queens out of there. And I'm kind of here for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a little bit more of the like Mimi I'm first overacting kind of thing. Yeah, that's my nervousness for her too. She also, I mean, like Nina West, she looks like a linebacker in drag.
Yeah,
so I think she's padded for the gods though, so at least she's got hips, whereas Nina struggled with that for a little bit.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've seen Tina perform in New York City. She's a great performer. She's also someone she's very good friends with Bianca Del Rio and people like that. I mean, she was a part of Bianca's 40th birthday roast. Really? Oh yeah, she's a big person that they call in New York City to do roasts. She's not. I will preface this. She is not Bianca Del Rio. She's not an insult comic. They bring her in. She does okay. She's not the star of the show. People will outshine her, although it's hard to outstar Bianca at a roast, or Darian Lake.
Pretty high bar, yeah.
You know what I mean? But she does a decent job. I actually weirdly met her, not like meaning to. I was at the Laurie Beachman Theater in New York watching Trixie Mattel, and she was in the audience, and I ended up sitting at her table, and she was or next to her table. And she was a lot of fun and very supportive of the other queens who were there and of Trixie and all that kind of stuff. And she was really nice. I think that she was somebody I didn't know how to place, because I felt like I had this, like, I kind of know who she is, but I really don't. I've seen her perform once. I sat a table away from her, and then I've seen these YouTube videos of her at roast and comedy shows and that kind of thing, where she does okay. So I kind of tried to put her like smack dab in the middle, because I was like, it's a 50-50 shot. She could do really well. Maybe I'm blended. But I think, I don't see her as a first boo. I don't see her going home early, but I'm with you, Liana. I feel like there's just a few things, whether it's with her comedy that I've witnessed, or with like this look in particular. Like, why the X's?
I hate them. I hate them so much.
If you're gonna have them on the sleeve or in one place, like you don't need them at all.
The wig looks great, not pastel, but like it's a cool wig. And then from the waist down, she looks fabulous in this like very heavily padded mermaid dress. And then this top is like this thing with these X's, like you're saying, Beth, from freaking Hot Topic. Like, what am I looking at?
And that's exactly the thing. It's like the wig goes with the top portion, but it doesn't go with the feel of the dress. And it's just like little things like that that are actually quite big things that I'm worried about with her, where it's kind of like what Amon was saying too. Is there going to be an overcompensating factor that's going to like lead into potentially her demise or her success? And so again, 50-50, 7th place. There we go. That's my
Yeah, the look is kind of off. It's kind of like if like Morticia Addams like had sex with a clown and then became terminally delightful for the rest of her life or something. It's very like
so Angela Creme and Morticia Addams have also her eyes are dead in this picture and I can't get over it. It's just
yeah. I mean, look, she's got a fabulous sense of humor. She seems like she'll be a great entertainer. But you know, like we talked about, this could go either way. Okay, let's keep chugging along here and talk about our top 7 queens.
Top 7.
Utica Queen. Beth, you had her at 2. Amon had her at 10. And I had her at 7. We were all over the freaking board when it came to Utica Queen. 25 from Utica, Minnesota. Very Mad Hatter vibes, Beth.
Yeah, I think for me, she had probably one of the most, besides another queen we'll talk about later. I think she has one of the most unique styles, not just here, but in other photos that I've seen. Obviously, like who would think about in a pastel thing, combining various different fabrics, especially gingham, with all these different hats, have a split face, have all these different kinds of, and it works, right? Plus in her Meet the Queens video, she's one of the few queens I got a really good sense of who she is and what she's going to bring to the competition. She has a very incredible sense of style, but she can perform, she can construct, she can do makeup, she could do everything. And I'm very interested to see, this is the kind of queen that can be versatile and a chameleon, and that's what you need in the competition in order to succeed. What is this challenge asking for? Okay, I'm gonna do this, and it's gonna be unique, and it's gonna be me, and it's gonna still follow my style of drag, and I'm gonna be able to do it. And that's who I think is gonna do really well in a competition. So I'm really excited to see her. I had heard of her before, but I hadn't actually like done much research into her as a queen. So I'm excited to see how she does in the competition.
Amon, you had her at 10. What was it that made you rank her lower?
Yeah, so I think that she's really, I like all the things that Beth just said. I think that she definitely has her own sense of style. She's definitely one of those queens that's looking to bring something fresh, something new, something out of the box. But I also just feel like I could see her going home on an acting challenge. I could see her trying to be funny and it's not landing. I got like her particular brand of humor. I could see it not translating. I mean, she also said something in her interview where, and like once again nitpicking here, but she said something where it was like, I'm like the Switzerland of drag. I don't like to be a part of any of the drama. And I'm like, the good drag queens on Drag Race are always at least a part of the drama somehow. Like they're always there. They're always there. Like there's always at least one fight. And I'm like, I don't know. Like, because I mean, Evie Oddly is kind of like that's the queen that I thought of like probably the most when I thought about Utica Queen. But Evie was like giving it to you every Untucked episode, and like, what are you gonna do after the episode is done? Are you just gonna sit there and just like wait for everyone to start fighting? I don't know. I just felt like I need. Are you gonna be present enough for me? You know, and that's kind of where I sort of like put her. It's like I just don't know how omnipresent in the season she will be. Will she deliver some strong looks? Probably. She'll probably be one of the most critically acclaimed on the runway, if I had to predict, but I just don't know if the performance is there to back it up.
So her promo look, I loved it. I loved it because it was so creative, and I loved it that she was like, I'm going above and beyond here. Like she makes most of her clothes, designs most of her clothes. She probably designed this. And so I think that is something that's certainly in her favor. I think from the looks perspective, she'll be knocking it out of the park. I think I got a little bit of Crystal Method vibes from her in terms of that outstanding creativity and just sort of like quirky weirdness that is really fun to watch. But my worry is that the judges won't respect her because of that. Like there's something that doesn't quite connect with the quirkiness yet with the judges. And that had nothing to do with Utica. Like that's just really how the, and that's what we're talking about. Like this is a game and you have to do what RuPaul wants. And I just think that won't do
Sorry to
that.
interrupt. Do you think that we need like a younger judge to like get permanently added to the slot? Because I think about that a lot of the time too. It's like maybe there's a reason why like you only have so many Sharon Needles and Evie Oddleys and a Jinx Monsoon that wins. It's because the judges they're just not quite there yet. You know what I mean? So I wonder if like having someone else on the panel regularly would help alleviate some of that.
Honestly, I would love to see someone like Alaska on the panel. I feel like she's someone who very much is so entrenched with all different areas of drag. And she's been a guest judge on like Dragula and that kind of thing. And she provides like incredible feedback. And I think that, having someone who knows the show, knows the competition, what it's like to be on the stage would be kind of interesting. But I don't want it to be just any queen. I want it to be someone who's really entrenched with it.
Right.
Yeah, I think the judging has evolved from season 1, and I think we're definitely moving in the right direction and in a better place. But sometimes I still feel like there's certain looks that don't get the credit that they deserve. And I'm just worried that Utica may fall under that category. I mean, she describes her looks as colorful Tim Burton mixed with old biblical paintings. Like, how freaking baller is that?
Yeah,
that's so cool.
I was like, all right, I want to see it.
You sold me.
Yeah, I don't know what that's gonna be. But yeah, lots of crazy looks. She giggles a lot. I noticed that from the interview. She's young but very talented. She's 25. Yeah. She's also our first Seventh-day Adventist that's gonna be on the show. I don't know if that will help or hurt her in the competition, but that was something of note. And she's of course from Utica, Minnesota, where her name comes from. So yeah, she's got a lot of high highs, a lot of low lows, possibly, right, depending on how the judging goes. And I think that's reflected in our rankings, and that definitely echoes how I feel about Utica. Yeah. All right, let's move on to our next queen, number 6. Miss Denali. Okay, so we have almost now flipped our rankings here. Amman has Denali at number 2. Beth has her at 10, and I have her sort of right in the middle at 6. So Amman, Denali.
Okay, maybe I'm just like in love with her. She's so pretty.
She's so pretty. Oh my god.
She's so pretty. She was giving me like a Snow Queen, Elsa thing vibes. It was just really, and then the whole ice skate. Like, look, guys, I was obsessed with ice skating when I was younger. Like every time the Winter Olympics would come on, it was like my favorite event to watch. I was like such a Michelle Kwan stan. I just love figure skating. It is like probably like one of my favorite art forms. And when she said that she could do that and that's how it informs her dancing, I was like, all right, that's it. I'm good. Like that's like, and she's from Alaska. She's from the land of the snow. It's just, I'm buying what she is selling, and I might be completely wrong about her. Maybe 2 is a bit too generous. I can understand that, but there was just something about her interview that was giving me like she's gonna stay. She's gonna be here for a while, and I'm like I feel like she's spent a lot of time cultivating her look, making it as unique as possible, making sure that her background and her heritage is injected into her art. And that is something that I really, really resonate with. So I gave her a 2. I'm thinking that she's gonna be in it for the long haul. And if she doesn't win, she's definitely All-Stars material. All-Star 7 is knocking on her door.
Okay, so Beth, you were a little bit lower on Denali.
Yeah, here's the thing. I totally agree with everything that Amman said. I think that she's gorgeous. I got like a coral kind of look out of this. I thought this was gorgeous. My problem with her, she's very charismatic. I loved her interview. But my problem with her is that everything came down to, I'm going to do well in lip syncs. And if you're going to focus on just doing well on when you're in the bottom of the competition,
yeah,
what does that say about your preparation for everything else? So I had a hang up with that. She's the first one in the Meet the Queens videos, like if you watch them on Twitter, like in order or whatever. And she set a high bar, and I immediately went in there like, oh, okay, she's going to be really well. But then as I watched other people's, I just kept going back and I was like, that's the only thing I remember. And so when I went back and watched her interview in comparison to watching everybody else, I was like, I just don't see her talking about what she's going to be able to bring to the competition other than a fierce lip sync. And I'm really hopeful that's not the case because, again, I think that it's really cool that we have our first queen from Alaska. We have someone with an ice skating background. I mean, the only other person that had an ice skating background on the show was Milk. And that did not translate to lip sync skills. If we remember from anything from All Stars 3 is her performance as Celine Dion or her little jump thing that she did in that dress, whatever that was in season 6. So I'm thankful that, we're going to have hopefully some more graceful movements, but I don't know. She just didn't sell me on what she's going to be able to bring to the competition.
I am certifiably obsessed with her. Like, she is, if you had to say, like, Liana, pick your favorite queen from the season, it would be Denali because all the reasons that Amman listed, the nature inspired drag, gorgeous. She's from Alaska. Awesome. She can do a backflip in skates. Holy crap. Like, who can do that? That's amazing. That's so impressive. And she's freaking gorgeous. Like, I love her face. I love her. I love her. But I sort of had that exact same experience as Beth, which was like, I watched her as first because the first one up. And then these little things started popping up for me. Like, she's got kitten heels on, makes me a little nervous. Her nail fell off during the interview, makes me a little nervous. She's scared for Snatch Game, made me a little nervous.
Made me a lot nervous.
Oh, a little nervy pervy for Snatch Game. I was like, no, girl, no. Like, so then I was like starting to put together all these red flags. And if I am rooting for her, I want her to win. I mean, we'll see obviously what she has to bring if she can sort of live up to my expectations. But
she said, like, because she said that she's a classically trained athlete, she's not a classically trained actress, and then she immediately cited Snatch Game. So I was like, so are you scared because you're not a good impressionist, but you can still excel in other acting challenges? Like, I was trying to figure out like what she meant by that, because there are plenty of great actors that cannot do a good impression. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not their
improv.
Yeah, it's just not their style. But if you can excel in other areas, like you can still make it pass. But like, I agree, Snatch Game is really is really, really scary. So if you're not, it feels like what you said, Beth, is that she knows if she makes it to Snatch Game, she's lip syncing. So,
and that's the thing about her, though, too. I will give her a lot of props with is that I think more than the other queens, she was able to list the areas like Snatch Game, that kind of thing. She said, these are the things I'm going to do well. These are the things I'm nervous about, which gives you insight to she knows and she's aware.
Right.
So hopefully she's prepared for it.
And she said, she's like, there's one thing I know how to do. It's stay in a competition. So it's like, okay, well, it seems like she's going to go kicking and screaming. Like, if she does go, it's not going to be because it was just a piss poor job all week long. It was like she tried, you know what I mean? Yeah. And that's kind of what I related to on top of the ice skating thing. That really got to me.
She reminds me a little bit of Lemon from Canada's Drag Race.
Yes.
Yeah. She's been performing for many years, but only doing drag for 2.5. And she just seems like someone who has just natural charisma and just naturally pops. And I co-sign what Amman says, that if she ends up going out even early in this season, I think she would be back for an All Stars, because I think production sees her. They put her first. Like, there's a reason why she's on the show. And I'm personally excited for her, and we'll have to see what is in store for Denali on this season. Mm-hmm. All right, let's go to our top 5. Top 5, baby. And that is Olivia Lux. This is the queen that essentially we had a consensus on. So both Beth and I had her at 5, and Amman, you had her at 6. So for me, Olivia, so she's from Brooklyn. So she's a New York queen. She's 26. She just popped for me. Like, I talk about Denali popping. Olivia, there was something about her personality and something about her on my television screen that just made me like her. I was like, yeah, I want to hang out with you. I want to see you perform. I want to see what you can bring to the competition, which is why I definitely have her in my top 5. But Amman, what about you? She just misses out on that top 5 for you, but still quite a high ranking.
Yeah, I mean, her name is so apropos, like Lux, like that's what you get from her. Light. Like, she's just very fun and bubbly. She didn't stop smiling the entire way through her interview. I mean, Miss Congeniality. I mean, just give it to her already. Like, goddamn.
Yeah.
She knows that she's from New York. You know what I mean? Like, you cannot be a drag queen from New York and not know what the hell you're doing. Like, I feel like all the drag queens that get picked from New York, they all have been performing. Like, you don't get drag queens that are like, because you can get drag queens from these small towns that don't have like as big as a drag scene, and that's why a lot of them don't make it as far, as because they're not entrenched in New York culture. So I'm like, if you have like such a bright personality and you're from New York, I don't see how you don't make it far. Like, she said that she was like, I'm whimsical too. I was like, okay, so is there like a little bit of Disney element up in here too? I'm like, I'm here for it. Like, she's gonna give me like that musical theater type vibe, which you don't really see from a lot of Black queens. Like, it's always like the white queens that give you that. And I'm like, okay, that's like my we're on a level here. So like I was really feeling it. It took me a lot like not to like place her higher, but because there is like a little bit of an apprehension for her that comes to me. It's like, do you have the punch though? Like, are you a sugarcane where we're gonna love you every week and you're gonna be able to deliver it at the last minute, but you're not gonna be able to snatch the cigar in the end? Is that the edit that we're getting here? And that's kind of where I landed with the 6.
Mm-hmm. And so she's describes herself as a fetus of drag. She's only been doing drag for 1 year, but like you said, she's in New York, and that is the one of the top cities to do drag. So she's going to learn a lot in that 1 year. But Beth, what are you thinking about Olivia?
She's just so sexy. I'm like, I look at this picture and it's just like that smolder, and I'm just like, oh, I like it. No, she was probably my favorite interview. I don't see, I mean, she's got the charisma. I think that the New York City aspect, the fact that she's so young, but this is her face, this is her kind of look. There's a uniqueness there. The question here is the nerve. Where's the nerve coming in? That's the punch, you know. But I think that we're gonna see loads of talent from her. Honestly, I felt like she was going to be someone that I'm just going to be rooting for the entire season. But like Liana, I just kind of generally felt like I don't know if she has what it takes to clench the crown and the title at the end. I hope she does, but she
said something that I'm kind of like holding her to now, because I feel like if you're a fan of Drag Race, you're an automatic fan of what Sasha Velour did at the end of that finale where she took off those gloves and those rose petals came out, and she alluded to that. She was like, I have a few tricks like up my glove, and I was like, okay, don't say that, because now I really want to know, like, what does that mean? Like, so like now I'm like really, really anticipating like her pulling out something really, really fun each week. So I think I'm probably the most excited to see what she brings to the table out of any of these queens.
Yeah. So stoked.
Okay. All right, let's keep chugging along. We have our top 4 queen.
Woo! Denali queen.
Also from NYC, we have Rosé, 31 years old, and pink is definitely her favorite color. So I was the highest. This one was a little bit all over the board. I had her at 2, Amman, you had her at 8, and Beth, you had her at 4. She seems really smart to me. And I love smart queens. They can get in their own head sometimes, but she's been in the game a long time. She seems super self-aware. And I think that that's something that will benefit her. I can definitely see her making the final 4 because she is seasoned. She has positive energy. She came from a really supportive home. And that was something that Gigi Good also had. And we saw like how well that served her in the competition. So I think she's one of the top queens. But Amman, you had her at 8. What held you back on Rosé?
Yeah, it was sort of like, and I how do I say this? Because and she's very aware of this, which I guess I can give her credit for, is that she said, I did have a pretty good, supportive system. I've been able to do this, and that. It really felt like she was listing off a resume, and I was like, okay. But then she said, a big misconception about me is that I don't deserve all the things that I have because of the fact that I didn't have to go through like this really sordid, treacherous I think she even referenced the Lord of the Rings like type battle to get to where I got. Which, you know, okay, well, if you're aware of that and you're aware that you have it better than a lot of other people, then maybe that does serve you well. But the reason why I gave her the 8 was kind of like, it kind of felt like just resume to me. I was like, okay, like, so you're from New York, you sing, you act, you dance, you compare yourself to the Celine Dion's, the Beyonce's. Okay, like, I don't know. I just wasn't behind the story yet, and maybe that's just because it was just a 3-minute interview, and I need to see what she does when she walks into that workroom, and maybe my opinion will change. But based off of that, I was kind of like, I wasn't inspired. I was kind of like, you're probably very talented. You probably know what the hell you're doing, but I'm not inspired by you. And I feel like if anything, you need to be inspired.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a really fair read.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I felt inspired by Olivia Lux. I didn't feel inspired by Rosé, but I definitely felt like there's more to the story here, and I'm interested to see what it is. And I think, you know, the listing of the resume, I totally agree with you, but I also was like, I do that. Like, I just like,
yeah. I mean, if you got it, fraud it. Just show for that, you know.
And you know what? Like, I just kind of sat back and I was like, you know what? I see a lot of myself. Maybe this was just me being like, I see a lot of myself in this queen, so therefore I'm going to rank her higher, which is like, you know, what a Leo thing for me to do. But I just have a really, I don't know how to say this. I just have a good feeling about Rosé. Like, when I watched her video, when I look at her here, like, there's just something about her that I'm going, I don't know if it's confidence or what, but there's just something that tells me like, we're going to see her around. And I'm excited for that.
Yeah, I think she'll stick around for a while. I think, is there enough uniqueness about her that for me is maybe the category that she could be lacking in, but I think she's definitely has the talent.
She is wearing a mullet, so therefore, you know, I'm just kidding.
I know, right?
You know what? Something that I did like about her is that she said that because I guess she's friends with Jan, and when Jan got on, she said that she was so pissed, and I love that. I love that she was honest about that. She was like I was like telling her to her face, like, oh my God, yay Jan, but I was like, oh, are you fucking kidding me? And I love that because that's like real and honest. It's like you can be friends with somebody but still be like so envious, and I love that she was honest about that. So yeah, I mean, if anything, she's definitely, you know, gonna like, I think she probably might have the kicking and screaming factor as well, where she's not going to go home if she has anything to say about it. So yeah, you know, that's fun to watch. That's compelling TV.
Yeah. So she's
go ahead, Leanna.
Well, she's a drag sister of Jan, and I'm not sure. Somebody on the Reddit made this like little chart. Alexis Michelle is Jan's mother, but I don't think Alexis Michelle is Rosé's mother. But they're at least tangentially related. Yeah.
They might have different moms, but the same dad. Who knows?
Yeah.
You know, just going back to, I think a really important point that both of you brought up, though, just to reiterate, is the self-awareness. And when I think about the queens that have won this competition, it's the queens that are the most self-aware of what their talents are and those kind of things. So.
Yeah, that's why I feel good about her, and she seems pretty intelligent and self-aware. So I think that's in her favor. Okay, we are getting to our top 3 queens.
Top 3.
Candy Muse. This is hilarious to me. So Amman had her at number 1, Beth had her at number 8, and I had her at number 4. So we really were all over the place here. So Candy is the daughter of Aja and sister to Dahlia Sin. So she has a long history with Rue girls. Amman, why number 1?
She was so funny. Oh my God. I loved her so much. And it wasn't like a silky thing, you know what I mean? Because all the people you always compare the big girls. I hate that we do it, but that's what effing happens. She's aware of it as well. It wasn't overbearing for me. Maybe it was because it was 3 minutes, but I feel like she's just like, guys, like, I know what it is. Like, I know what I bring to the table. I know who I am. All these other dusty hoes, they don't got nothing on me. And it was so tongue in cheek for me that I was like, I am about it. I'm buying tickets. I want to see this show. I'm so excited for her. She just seems like she's like so ready to prove it. And the fact that she was talking trash about Aja, I'm like, oh my God, yes. trash talk your family. I love it. I think that she's just ready to go there. I think that she is also ready to prove something, and I just get like this really good earned confidence. It didn't seem false to me. It felt like I'm sitting pretty. I'm here. Like I got here, and if all these other dusty hoes, if they can do it, I can do it. You don't want them, you want me. Pick me. So I love it. I love that so much.
All right, Beth, counterpoint, why 8?
Okay, so full disclosure, I've loved Candy Muse on Instagram and such for years now. Like, it's been wonderful to kind of watch her grow and to really become like a much more polished queen than she was. And I really felt like, the House of Aja for a long time, they were very tight knit. They grew together. When Aja had success, Aja brought them along with her. Like, it was very much if I'm going to grow, my family's going to grow with me. Mm-hmm. I don't know if they're as close anymore, which is why I thought the trash talking was funny, because I could be way off track, but that might have been sincere. So I'm not sure. But it may not have been. I don't know. I could be very wrong. They could just continue to be really good friends. I don't know. And so I don't claim to know the insights of that. But I do feel like Candy is the type of person, just from my impressions from watching her online, and I can't wait to see how, and I hope I'm wrong on this, that's going to let the drama of the competition get in the way of her success. That is what I'm worried about with her. And rather than reining it in and bringing it to the stage, I think she's going to be like, and one more thing. They're like, well, no, you gotta perform. So she's somebody that I think has a sharp tongue, a great sense of style, and I think she's gonna be really funny at like the improv moments. But I'm worried about the scripted acting challenges. I'm worried about things that are like more like you have to fit these like parameters or something. I think that she's gonna be better on the things that she can do more off the cuff or whatever in that regard. So I didn't really know how to feel. She's another one just because I knew who she was. I just was like, I kind of put her in the middle. But I do worry about, is she going to be, I know she's going to be good TV. That is not the worry. But is the good TV going to get in the way of her success in the competition?
Mm-hmm. She was someone for me who, again, the high highs, low lows. Like, she could be a firecracker, outstanding television, bringing it to you every week type queen, or she doesn't necessarily have the skills to kind of like back that up. But I was feeling more positive, I think, about Candy just because her personality. I mean, Vanjie wore freaking leotards, like bodycon suits on the runway for like weeks and made it pretty far. So I think Candy will do just fine because of her super strong, entertaining personality. She's from the House of Aja. I mean, you can tell as soon as you see her face. I was like, that is Aja's face. But it works for her. It looks great on her. She referenced one of my favorite vines. Like, what is that? What is that? So happy. Everything she does, but love Candy. Really excited to see her. I just, of course, have a little bit of hesitation just because the competition is super tough. There's a lot of really solid queens here, and she might be outdone. The drama may get to her, but ultimately feel really good about Candy, and I think she'll be around for a while at least.
Yeah, I bought into it, and that's why I put her at number 1. Is because like not everybody can like pull that off. Like I just love during the interview where she was like, "Who am I inspired by?" No one, because you know what? I look in the mirror and I am like, oh, I am sickening, bitch. I am self-centered. I was like, yeah.
And that's exactly the kind of energy she's had for years, which is why I've so enjoyed watching her. Like, she's so captivating to watch. I love it. And
like, even if she does go home like pretty early or like in the middle of the competition, I just want to know what comes out of her mouth when she goes home. It's just be like her against the whole world, her against production. Like, you guys can't see it. I'm Candy Muse. Like, I'm here for it.
I'm telling you, it's the Vanjie upside. Like, that's what I see from her. Okay. Top 2 queens. So number 2, Gottmik, not got milk. Gottmik. So Gottmik has been in the game. I mean, she is 23 years old, so very young, from LA. She went to fashion school. This is someone who we all felt really good about. So Beth, myself, had her at 3. Amman had her at 4. I think that she's someone who's going to really excel in this competition. Beth, what were your impressions of Gottmik?
Okay, so I've watched Gottmik do makeovers for years. So if there is a makeover challenge,
Yeah.
winner. I'm calling it now. Gottmik has just some of the best painting style senses I've seen, and it's really unique. Loved her interview. Just felt like more. I think that there's much more of a stake in the game for her than for other people, in addition to just her raw talent and everything. Anytime you have a transgender contestant, specifically with all the controversies of RuPaul's comments over the past few years or so, it's a statement. And I'm so excited to see Gottmik on here and just like serve it. And I just honestly, I don't see how Gottmik doesn't make it very far in this competition. And again, I'm fully aware that I'm probably very biased because I've been following Gottmik for a while. But I am very, very excited to see what she brings to the competition.
Yeah, I was wondering when Gottmik was gonna show up, like on Drag Race. It was kind of one of those things similar to Aquaria that was like, I know you're gonna be here one day. I just don't know when that day is gonna be.
Correct.
Yeah, very, very excited to see Gottmik. Our, I believe, our first trans male contestant.
Yeah.
And so I think that that's gonna be fabulous, because Gottmik also, again, much like Aquaria, really plays with the line between male and feminine, that masculine feminine energy. Gottmik has a lot of like pinup-y structured looks, but then is willing to do something a little bit more androgynous, very artistic. Just, I mean, I like absolutely gorgeous. Amman, what are your thoughts on Gottmik?
Yeah, I think I found her very captivating. I was kind of like hanging on to every word that she was saying in her interview, and like anytime that you can make me think about something a different kind of way, I think that's always a good sign when it comes to Drag Race. She started referencing like specifically her eye makeup and how she likes to manipulate eye shapes, and I was like, I've never really thought about that. I'm sitting here like, that sounds cool. I don't know what that exactly means, but it sounds great. So she obviously is very like well educated on painting and all of like also different types of like references to pull from. And I mean, she was about to go to school for fashion, and she's also doing makeup on the side. So it's like she obviously has an eye for a lot of different things. So I'm just really looking forward to the way that informs her drag. And yeah, like Beth said, it is a statement. I mean, she's a trans man on Drag Race, and it's the first time that it's ever happened. So I'm excited that we are moving in the right direction, and I think that she looks like she's going to be someone that's going to be tough to beat as well. Like I feel like she is here for the crown, so she wants it bad, and that's always great. So I'm excited for her. I really am.
The other thing about the statement, just to say too, because I think it's important to know, is that there's been a long discussion, and this is where some of the misogyny of the drag community comes through, which is that people who are AFAB or assigned female at birth can't be drag queens, whether they are trans men or whatever. They don't consider them to be drag queens, and I think it's a huge statement to have an AFAB trans man on Drag Race, and not only on Drag Race, but just will be serving it. Like I'm sorry, it's a fact. I just don't see Gottmik going out first. Like there's no way. And I'm really excited. Like I'm so happy you brought up like the burlesque look that she does too, Liana, because there's elements where I look at her and I go, oh, I can see a little bit of like Violet Chachki in here, but like not at all Violet at the same time. Like it's a very different perspective on like those kind of burlesque looks. Like this right here, the flat chest and everything, that like would absolutely be a Violet Chachki move, but Violet would never do that cape. Violet would never do that makeup. The headpiece would be very different. That's not the kind of like shoe that would go. Like it's just so very different kinds of things here, and that just gives me good energy and juju for her in that competition.
Yeah, I think if she doesn't make our top 4, something has gone horribly wrong.
Like, what?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It has to be a Valentina. I would like.
Yeah, I'd like to keep it on.
please.
Yeah.
Although in 2021, keeping a mask on is a great idea, everybody.
Right. Everyone keep your mask on. All right. So I do
What is she going to say?
one-
What does RuPaul say to her if she gets eliminated? Like, Gottmik? No, I don't Gottmik. Sashay, like,
you don't got me. One thing I have to point out is Gottmik is a notable, amazing makeup artist, but also did this very homophobic look of Shangela. I think it was at the SAG Awards, but I heard there was a story about how it was like she only had 30 minutes and something really rough.
Yeah, she does look a little pale.
Look at Courtney.
I'm more mad at the wig than I am at the makeup.
I know,
Yeah.
right? Hairline.
It's just that hairline girl. No.
Anyway, don't worry, we know. But she is very talented. Like this does not
This is not representative of her true talent.
I just remember this photo the Shangela photo makes me laugh so hard every time. So anyway, I don't know. All right. We have one more queen to discuss before we get out of here. And if you are keeping track at home, that top queen is Simone. So both Beth and I had her at 1. Amman had her at 3. This is a queen that obviously we all think is going to do quite well. Amman, kick us off. Simone, 25 from Arkansas, but in LA now. What do you think of her?
Yeah, she's really fun. I love that hair on this promo look. She reminds me of a bunch of the Black girls that I knew growing up. Like in elementary school, middle school, just like I see so many women in my life in this drag queen. I think where it's like so interesting coming off of a Jada Essence Hall win, because where Jada Essence Hall, where she was kind of like in the realm of like supreme being female impressionist, like, you know, pageant drag queen, and Simone is kind of giving you more of like that rougher, grittier edge, and I love that. I love the long nails, the extravagant long ass nails. Like I said before, I love the hair. I love the fact that she was like, I can do anything. This is what I'm giving you now, but I can do anything from different eras. I would just sprinkle a little bit of Simone in there. I like to show you a little bit of leg. I like to show you a little bit of arm. I like to show you a little bit of juice. I like to be naked. I think that she's just so fun, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what she's getting a lot of noise on social media as well. Like everybody is really onto the Simone train, and I have also bought a ticket. I'm excited for her.
It's that wig, Beth.
Yeah.
It's so good. Here's what I love the most about this. Okay. First of all, who would have thought of like a 90s style pant boxer thong with all the bling, like the chain, but there's another smaller chain underneath of it, and then all the nice like bangles and bracelets and everything. First of all, I'm just
very like futuristic TLC meets Aaliyah. Like it's
if you took TLC in the 2090s, like that's what we're looking at, right? Not the 1990s, the 2090s, and then add on that hair. That I was like, come on! I was like knocking over stuff. I'm so excited. Simone, to me, when I watched her interview, I was like, there's literally nothing stopping her. Like that's what I got out of this. Like, if she has to lip sync, you're going home, not her. Yeah. She's gonna take every competition, every challenge, and face it head on with a fierceness, with a sense of self, and there's not going to be anything that's going to stop her. And so I can't not give an unstoppable force. Not like she has to be number 1. Like I'm so in love with her. I cannot wait to see what she brings to the competition.
I had a lot of queens that I put at my sort of like top 5, and they all sort of moved around a little bit when I was finalizing my rankings. But Simone for me has the uniqueness. Like again, who would think to come up with this? Kimura's look we've seen before. I've never seen this before. Like this is gorgeous. She has a personality to match. She's been performing since she was 18. Like she's from Arkansas, but she's now moved to LA. So she's experienced LA drag culture. Like it was just every single thing. There was something in her favor of, oh, this is a plus. This is a plus. This is a plus. And I just really didn't see anything that would go in the con column.
Mhm.
And that was what made me put her number one. And I just think there's something about her also. The je ne sais quoi of it all
Yeah.
that really just, I'm obsessed with her.
I just really like, I just find the whole look very endearing because I can just tell that she's informed by so many of, like the artist, not like Simone the drag queen, but the artist behind Simone. I'm not sure what his real name is. I can just tell that he is very informed by a lot of the Black girls that he's seen growing up, because I've seen this before, and then he's elevated that look. I mean, who would have think to put those big ass gold hoop earrings inside the braids? Like, that's so fun. I love that so much.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so that concludes our little countdown. Thank you guys for going through all of this. I think we're in for a great season. This got me even more pumped. I'm so excited. I think this is gonna be good, and I'm looking forward to it.
It's gonna be fantastic. I can't wait. And I just think, like, we are so due for a solid season of Drag Race, like not All Stars, but like a solid normal Drag Race season. And I have high hopes for it. And don't fuck it up.
Yes, please don't fuck it up. I think we're good. I feel like they're well aware of the shit show of season 12. I mean, how could you not be? And then when you add on all of the COVID to it, I mean, this season is starting on New Year's Day 2021 for a reason. We are trying to move forward. So I think if anything, they're gonna give us what we need. So I'm really, really excited.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's get out of here. Amman, thank you so much. Where can people find you on social media? What are you up to?
You can find me at Amman Adwin on Twitter. Yeah, I am still doing my Glee podcast with Matt. Check all that stuff out. We are in the middle of character analysis and all that stuff. We did a bunch of stuff for the holidays as well. So give us a shout out at Choir Room Pod, wherever you get your podcasts.
And Beth, what about you?
You can find me at AugustaWind11 on Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch. My Twitch channel, I'm trying to game a little bit. I just did Among Us with proximity chat for the first time yesterday, and that was a hot mess and a lot of fun.
So jealous.
It's so much fun. It's so easy. You should download it. I'll tell you how.
No, I can't do it for. I have a Mac.
No, it's so good. But you can also catch me on My Weekly Meltdown. We're covering The Challenge, which is my first season ever watching The Challenge. So I have thoughts. I'm sure that's shocking. We're also doing a rewatch of Heroes versus Villains, but you can catch that on my Twitch channel as well.
And you can find me on Twitter at Liana RHAP. Puya and I just wrapped up coverage of The Masked Singer season 4, but we're going to be doing at least one episode coverage of The Masked Dancer. So that is premiering as we are recording this tonight. And so we'll be back, Puya and I, to cover that as well. Become a patron of Rob Has a Podcast if you haven't already, and you feel like supporting all of the wonderful content that both the Rob Has a Podcast main feed and the reality TV wrap-ups feed put out. You can do that by going to patreon.com and look up Rob Has a Podcast. Also, it's the start of a new season. So if you can leave your star ratings and reviews on iTunes, that is super, super helpful. It helps everybody find the pod, and we can hopefully grow our little family here as we bring in the new year with season 13. Thank you, Scott St. Pierre, behind the scenes, for all of the editing, and we will be back next week with a special guest. The big man himself, Rob Sesternino, will be here. He did coverage of one episode of season 8 with Allie and Brent forever ago.
That's
and
a long time ago.
Exactly. And Beth, you did on Rob and Akiva Nita podcast, the Drag Academy, right?
Yes. Yep.
So you're his tutor. You've started the education, and hopefully we will be back with another edition of that. So look out for the video and, of course, the podcast in your reality TV wrap-ups or the Drag Race feed. And we will talk to y'all soon. Bye.